My next guest is expecting a beat. He calls Salesforce one of his favorite software names right now. He's Dan Ives, Wedbush, right here at Post 9. Welcome. Good to see you.
Great to be here.
Pretty good year for the stock. Was up 60% plus year to date.
Look, it's been back against the wall going into earlier this year. Activists swirling and Benioff. It's been a flex the muscles moment for Salesforce because of the margin story and because what I view as a renaissance of growth that I think will continue in terms of what we see tonight.
Well, how high is the bar, though, given the stock move into the number?
Yeah, I actually think, look, the bar has definitely been set higher, but when I look at our checks and what's over the coming quarters, I think they could accelerate to double-digit type growth with margins expanding. I still view this as sort of risk-reward that I view as more of a table pounder into the next 6 to 9 months, given where Salesforce fits. And I think this is also going to be a big barometer for the rest of tech,
well,
big piece of the puzzle.
They had the slowest rate of revenue growth in 10 years last quarter. Are you taking that into account enough? Is that reversing? Like, what's the story?
Yeah, I think it's starting to reverse. I think the big thing from Tableau, and if you look at what's happening on the core software side, I think Slack was a headwind. Now that actually starts to become a tailwind. They definitely went through a tough time. But if you go back to earlier this year, I think bears were thinking their best days were in the rearview mirror. And I actually disagree. I think this is a company that's really on the doorstep of a renaissance of growth.
All right, so we mentioned 60% year to date. I think I just saw down 20% or something over the last 3 months or so. What are the concerns about cloud spending overall? Because this is going to play right into this stock and the kinds of things that the CEO says on the call.
Yeah, and then look, when Benioff talks, everyone listens, because this is just another piece of the puzzle. I mean, we heard from Paolo, but Salesforce is a huge barometer. And I believe in terms of cloud spend, similar to what we saw with Microsoft, and I believe what we saw with Google, we'll see with Oracle as well. Scott, we're seeing an uptick in terms of over the last 2-3 months, and I think we're going to hear more of that from Salesforce and Benioff. I view this as bullish for overall tech.
I misread the chart. It's only down about 2% over the last last 2 months, or last 3 months, excuse me. The other thing is they recently raised prices, right, by about 9%, almost across the board. When does that start to show up? It's too soon now, right?
It's too soon now, but when we look out the next 3-4 quarters, I think right now Street's actually underestimating growth from a cash flow perspective as well as from a growth. And then also, this is all the drum roll to AI, because I believe from an AI in terms of that suite rollout, I think that's going to be a big focus tonight in the call. We think that could be potentially $4 billion annually by 2025, and I think this is actually an under-the-radar AI play in terms of what's coming out of Salesforce and Benioff.
238 is the 52-week high. How good does this have to be to get back towards, if not exceed, those levels?
Yeah, I think it's called scale 110. If we have an 8 to a 9, this is a stock that I think breaks through that, because
you think we'll really get an 8 to a 9? I mean, just kind of given the environment we're in, where, as I said, revenue growth was, in the most recent quarter. That sounds to me like they better pull an NVIDIA. They better hit the ball so far out of the park it lands on the street.
Yeah. Now, to that point, I do think that many on the street, in terms of expectations, have been ratcheted up, but our checks have shown actually significant improvement, not just quarter over quarter, but even over the last 6 months. And I think this is just an example of a company that has a massive install base. You got the golden install base of Salesforce. Now it's just further monetizing it. And you go back to that Slack deal. I mean, that was really the headwind. Activists came in swirling. And I think it was really a moment where I think Benioff and Salesforce just proved the value of the franchise.
Start talking about installed bases. I go right to Apple for obvious reasons, arguably the most powerful installed base in the history of consumer technology. That stock's on the move, by the way. It's back above its 50-day moving average. They got the invitation sent out yesterday. Is this stock back? Is the momentum back?
Oh, I mean, you've talked about it. I viewed it as this was a no-brainer opportunity because of what I view over the last, call it, month or two. The street is significantly underestimated what's going to be a mini super cycle in terms of iPhone 15. We think we're talking about 240 million that have an upgrade in 4+ years. All of our checks out of Asia, even as of this week, shows positive. And I think it's one, the street continues to underestimate Cook and Cupertino, where they play chess and others are playing checkers.
Quickly, too, on Tesla, which was at the top of our program as one of the reasons we're talking about this resurgence in tech. What is that, up 10% in a month?
It's about China. I mean, go back to...
in a week.
But go back to the last few months. I think there was a view that price cuts, You're going to have this price war that's going to continue to play out. Yet for Tesla, you've actually seen what I view as an uptick in demand. We believe 95% of those price cuts in the rearview mirror. And I do think, Scott, you're starting to see that some of the parts story in Tesla in terms of that valuation, supercharger, next batteries, and then FSD play out, which is why we believe this is a stock that, I think is just on the early stage of its next leg of growth.
All right, Dan Ives, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you soon.